Cale Thorne stood at the edge of the bustling marketplace on Zenthara, the capital of the Galactic Empire, his heart pounding in rhythm with the distant thrum of hovercraft engines. The air was thick with the scent of exotic spices and the chatter of countless alien species, each absorbed in their own transactions. Yet, amidst the vibrant chaos, Cale felt an unsettling weight pressing down on him. He had seen too much, lost too many, and today, he feared for the planet he once called home. "Cale, you're back!" A familiar voice called out, breaking through his reverie. It was Jax, a fellow veteran, his face weathered but his smile as bright as ever. "I thought you'd retired to a quiet life of fishing and storytelling." Cale forced a smile, but the tension in his chest remained. "You know me better than that, Jax. I'm afraid I've got more than just tales to tell." Jax's expression shifted, concern flickering in his eyes. "What's wrong?" "Let's find somewhere private," Cale replied, glancing around to ensure no prying ears were nearby. They ducked into a dimly lit tavern, the air heavy with the scent of fermented drinks and the low hum of conversation. Cale motioned for Jax to sit, his mind racing with the urgency of his message. "Is it about Earth?" Jax asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Cale nodded, leaning in closer. "I've just come from a council meeting. The Empire is planning to invade." Jax's eyes widened. "Invade? But Earth is." "Not what they think," Cale interrupted, his voice firm. "They see us as weak, a backwater planet ripe for conquest. But they don't understand our soldiers. They don't know what they're capable of." Jax shook his head, disbelief etched on his features. "You're saying they're underestimating Earth's forces? That's insane." "It's the truth," Cale insisted, his hands clenched into fists. "I fought alongside them. They're resilient, resourceful, and they won't go down without a fight. If we don't act now, Earth will be decimated." Jax leaned back, processing the weight of Cale's words. "What do you propose we do?" "The Council won't listen to a retired soldier." Cale's gaze hardened. "Then we make them listen. We gather support, rally the veterans, and show them the truth. We can't let the Empire destroy what we fought to protect." Jax hesitated, the flicker of doubt crossing his face. "You really think we can change their minds?" "We have to try," Cale replied, determination igniting within him. "If we don't, we'll be complicit in the slaughter of innocent lives." As they spoke, the tavern door swung open, and a figure stepped inside, drawing Cale's attention. It was a tall, imposing woman clad in the dark uniform of the Imperial Guard. Her presence commanded the room, and the chatter faded into an uneasy silence. Cale's heart raced. He recognized her as Commander Vera, a ruthless enforcer of the Empire. "Cale Thorne," she said, her voice smooth yet laced with authority. "I've been looking for you. What do you want?" Cale replied, his tone guarded. "Your presence is requested at the Council," she stated, her eyes narrowing. "The Empress wishes to hear your thoughts on the situation regarding Earth." Cale exchanged a glance with Jax, who looked equally apprehensive. "I have nothing to say to the Empress," he replied defiantly. "Perhaps you should reconsider," Vera said, a hint of menace in her voice. "The Empire values your experience. It would be wise to share your insights before it's too late." Cale felt a surge of anger. "You think I'll stand by while you plan to invade my home? I won't be a pawn in your game." Vera's lips curled into a smirk. "You misunderstand, Thorne. This isn't a game. It's a necessity. The Empire must maintain order, and Earth is a threat to that order." "Threat?" Cale spat, his voice rising. "You're the real threat. You're blinded by arrogance, and it will cost you dearly." Vera's expression hardened, and she stepped closer, her gaze piercing. "You do well to remember your place, veteran. The Council awaits." With that, she turned on her heel and strode out of the tavern, leaving a tense silence in her wake. Cale's heart raced, the weight of the impending confrontation settling heavily on his shoulders. "Are you really going to go?" Jax asked, concern etched on his. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over the sprawling cityscape of Earth's capital, New Haven. Cale Thorne stood at the edge of a rooftop, the familiar skyline stirring memories of battles fought and comrades lost. The air was thick with anticipation as he prepared to gather the veterans who had once stood shoulder to shoulder with him in the heat of war. He knew that the time for action was now. "Cale!" A voice called from behind him, breaking his reverie. He turned to see Mira, a young soldier with fiery determination in her eyes. She had been a promising recruit when he last saw her, and now she was a full-fledged member of the Earth Defense Force. "You made it back. I heard about the Empire's plans. Is it true?" "It's worse than you think," Cale replied, his voice steady but urgent. "They're coming for us, Mira. We need to prepare." Myra's expression hardened. "What can we do? The Council won't listen to a retired soldier." Cale stepped closer, his gaze intense. "That's why we need to gather the veterans. They'll listen to us. We have to show them that Earth's soldiers are not to be underestimated." Mira nodded, her resolve strengthening. "I'll help you. We can meet at the old barracks. It's a place where we can speak freely." As they made their way through the bustling streets, Cale felt a mix of nostalgia and urgency. The barracks loomed ahead, a relic of past conflicts, its walls echoing with the laughter and camaraderie of soldiers who had once called it home. Now, it stood as a reminder of the unity they needed to reclaim. Inside, the atmosphere was charged with anticipation. A handful of veterans had already gathered, their faces a mix of concern and curiosity. Cale recognized General Rourke, a grizzled leader with a reputation for unwavering loyalty. He had fought alongside Cale in some of the fiercest battles against the Empire. "Cale, good to see you," Rourke said, his voice deep and gravelly. "I heard you were back. What's this about an invasion?" Cale took a deep breath, scanning the faces of his comrades. "The Empire is planning to invade Earth. They believe we're weak, that we'll crumble under their might. But they don't know us. They don't know what we're capable of." Murmurs of disbelief rippled through the group. "How do you know this?" one veteran asked, skepticism evident in his tone. "I was in the council chamber," Cale replied, his voice steady. "I heard their plans firsthand. We can't let them underestimate us. We need to unite and prepare for what's coming." Rourke nodded, his expression serious. "You're right. We fought too hard to let our home fall into enemy hands. But we need a plan. We can't just rally everyone without a strategy." Cale felt a surge of hope. "We can start by reaching out to the other units. We need to show them that we're ready to fight back. We can't let fear dictate our actions." Mira stepped forward, her voice strong. "I can help coordinate the communication. We can send messages to every veteran and active soldier. If we can gather enough support, we can make a stand." "Good idea," Rourke said, his eyes glinting with determination. "We'll need to prepare our defenses and train those who are willing to fight. The Empire won't expect us to be ready." As the discussion continued, Cale felt a sense of camaraderie building among the veterans. They shared stories of past battles, their voices rising with passion and conviction. Each tale served as a reminder of their strength and resilience, igniting a fire within them. Hours passed, and the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting long shadows across the barracks. Cale stood at the front, addressing the group. "We've faced impossible odds before, and we've come out stronger. This time will be no different. We fight not just for ourselves, but for our families, our friends, and the future of Earth." A chorus of agreement echoed through the room, and Cale felt a surge of pride. They were ready to stand together, to face the Empire head-on. But as the meeting concluded, a sense of foreboding settled over him. The Empire was relentless, and they would not take kindly to resistance. "Cale," Mira said, pulling him aside as the others began to disperse. "What if they find out what we're planning? The Empire has eyes everywhere." "We'll have to be careful," Cale replied, his brow furrowing. "We can't let fear paralyze us. We need to act swiftly and decisively." Mira nodded, her expression resolute. The dawn broke over New Haven, casting a golden hue across the city. Cale Thorne stood at the edge of the training grounds, watching as veterans and recruits alike prepared for the day ahead. The air buzzed with energy, a palpable mix of anxiety and determination. They had only a few days to ready themselves before the Empire's forces arrived, and every moment counted. Cale, Mira called, jogging toward him, her face flushed with excitement. We've received word from several units. They're on board and ready to join us. Good, Cale replied, a sense of relief washing over him. We need every soldier we can muster. The Empire won't expect us to fight back. As they spoke, General Rourke approached, his expression serious. We've set up a series of drills for the recruits. They need to be prepared for combat, and we can't afford any weaknesses. Cale nodded, appreciating Rourke's no-nonsense approach. Let's make sure they understand what's at stake. This isn't just about training, it's about survival. The morning passed in a blur of activity. Cale moved from group to group, offering guidance and encouragement. He watched as recruits practiced hand-to-hand combat, their movements clumsy but filled with determination. The veterans, meanwhile, demonstrated advanced tactics, their experience shining through as they led the younger soldiers. Focus on your footwork. Cale shouted to a group struggling with their stances. You need to be light on your feet. Anticipate your opponent's moves. As the sun climbed higher, the drills intensified. Sweat dripped from brows, and the sounds of exertion filled the air. Cale felt a surge of pride as he observed the camaraderie forming among the soldiers. They were no longer just individuals. They were becoming a unit, a force to be reckoned with. Cale, Mira called out, her voice cutting through the noise. We've got a situation. He turned to see her rushing toward him, her expression grave. What's happened? Scouts reported an Imperial patrol moving through the outskirts of the city. They're getting closer, she said, her eyes wide with concern. Cale's heart raced. We need to prepare for an encounter. Gather everyone and get them into defensive positions. Within moments, the atmosphere shifted from training to alertness. Soldiers scrambled to their posts, weapons drawn, eyes scanning the horizon. Cale felt the weight of responsibility settle heavily on his shoulders. This was it, the moment they had been preparing for. Stay sharp, he called out, his voice steady. We don't know how many they are or what they want. Remember your training. As the minutes ticked by, tension hung thick in the air. Cale paced along the perimeter, his instincts on high alert. He could feel the adrenaline coursing through his veins, a mix of fear and anticipation. The Empire was coming, and they would not be merciful. Suddenly, a shout rang out from the watchtower. Incoming! 3 hovercraft approaching fast. Cale's heart sank. Positions! He barked, and the soldiers fell into formation, weapons raised and ready. He took a deep breath, steeling himself for what was to come. The hovercraft descended, their sleek forms cutting through the sky like predatory birds. As they landed, a squad of Imperial soldiers disembarked, clad in dark armor, their faces obscured by helmets. Cale recognized the insignia, the Empire's elite forces, known for their ruthlessness. Hold your fire, Cale commanded, raising a hand. Let's see what they want. The lead soldier stepped forward, his voice amplified by a comm device. This is Commander Vera of the Imperial Guard. You are ordered to surrender and disband. Resistance will be met with lethal force. Cale stepped forward, his heart pounding. We will not surrender. We are Earth soldiers, and we will defend our home. Vera's helmeted gaze seemed to bore into him. You're making a grave mistake, Thorne. You cannot win this fight. Perhaps you underestimate us, Cale replied, his voice steady. We've faced worse than you. With a flick of her wrist, Vera signaled her troops. Then prepare to face the consequences. In an instant, chaos erupted. The Imperial soldiers opened fire, blaster bolts lighting up the sky. Cale dove to the side, adrenaline surging as he shouted, "Return fire! Protect the perimeter!" The soldiers sprang into action, returning fire with a mix of precision and desperation. Kale moved through the chaos, directing troops and providing cover where needed. He could feel the heat of the blaster fire, the thud of explosions reverberating in his chest. "Keep your heads down," he yelled, ducking behind. The sounds of battle echoed through the air, a cacophony of blaster fire and shouts mingling with the acrid scent of smoke. Cale Thorne crouched behind a crumbling wall, his heart racing as he surveyed the chaos unfolding before him. The Imperial forces had come in full force, their elite soldiers advancing with ruthless efficiency. But Earth's defenders were holding their ground, fueled by a fierce determination to protect their home. "Cale!" Mira shouted, sprinting toward him, her face streaked with dirt and determination. "We need to regroup. They're flanking us on the left. Get the veterans to cover the rear." Cale replied, his voice steady despite the chaos. "We can't let them surround us." Mira nodded, her eyes bright with resolve. "I'll rally them. We can't let them break our lines." As she dashed away, Cale took a moment to catch his breath. He could see the soldiers fighting valiantly, but the Empire's numbers were overwhelming. He needed a plan, something to turn the tide of this battle. "Thorne!" A voice called from behind him. It was General Rourke, his uniform tattered but his spirit unbroken. "We need to push back. If we don't, we'll be overrun." Cale nodded, his mind racing. "We need to create a diversion. If we can draw their attention away from the main force, we might have a chance." Rourke's brow furrowed. "What do you have in mind?" "Gather a small team and flank their right side. We'll hit them hard and fast, then fall back to regroup," Cale suggested, his voice firm. Rourke considered it for a moment, then nodded. "I'll gather the veterans. We'll make it count." As Rourke moved to assemble the troops, Cale took a deep breath, steeling himself for what lay ahead. He could feel the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. This was not just a battle for survival, it was a fight for the future of Earth. Moments later, Rourke returned with a small group of veterans, their faces set with determination. "We're ready, Cale. Let's show them what we're made of." "On my mark," Cale said, his heart pounding. "We move in 3, 2, 1. With a battle cry, they surged forward, charging toward the Imperial flank. The element of surprise was on their side, and for a brief moment, the Empire's soldiers faltered. Cale led the charge, his blaster firing with precision as he took down the first enemy soldier in his sights. "Keep pushing," he shouted, adrenaline coursing through him. "We can't let them regroup." The veterans fought with a ferocity that surprised even Cale. They moved as a unit, covering each other's backs and exploiting every opening. The tide of battle began to shift, and Cale felt a surge of hope. "Fall back." Vera's voice rang out, laced with frustration. "Reinforce the left flank. We can't let them break through." Cale seized the moment. "Now! Push forward!" he yelled, rallying his team. They pressed on, driving deeper into the enemy lines, their resolve unyielding. But just as victory seemed within reach, a loud explosion rocked the ground beneath them. Cale stumbled, regaining his footing as dust and debris filled the air. He looked up to see a massive Imperial walker looming over the battlefield, its weapons primed and ready. "Retreat!" Rourke shouted, his voice cutting through the chaos. "We need to fall back to the main line." Cale's heart sank. They had pushed so hard, and now they were faced with a new threat. "We can't let them take control," he yelled, rallying the veterans. "We need to hold our ground." As the walker advanced, blaster fire rained down, and Cale felt the heat of near misses singe the air around him. "Mira!" he shouted, spotting her across the battlefield. "Get the recruits to safety." "I won't leave you," she shouted back, determination etched on her face. "Do it," Cale commanded, his voice firm. "We need to protect the future of Earth." With a reluctant nod, Mira turned and sprinted toward the recruits, her heart heavy but her resolve unwavering. Cale turned back to the advancing walker, his mind racing for a solution. They needed to disable it, and fast. "Rourke!" Cale called, his voice rising above the din. We need to take out that walker. Do you have any explosives? Rourke nodded, pulling a small pack from his belt. I've got a few grenades. We can set a trap.